If you've ever felt stuck trying to price your handmade products, wondering if you're charging too much or too little, you're in the right place. I'm going to show you how to price your products the right way so that you can finally feel confident in what you charge. If this sounds like you, be sure to stick around. I'm Lynn Calloway, a maker who built 2 six-figure handmade brands from the kitchen table to national retail. Here, I share the exact steps to help you grow your handmade business with confidence, from pricing and packaging to scaling sustainably without losing your creativity or peace. Before you can determine your price, you need to understand your COGS. COGS stands for cost of goods sold, and it is honestly the foundation of your business. COGS is essentially factoring in your materials, your ingredients, your labels, your jars, your containers, anything that you use to create your product. And it is literally the foundation of your pricing and everything else to come. If you don't understand your COGS, I honestly don't know how you've gotten this far.
You survived.
I made a free tool called Maker to Market Pricing Calculator. It is a easy to use tool that allows you to calculate your COGS. So if you have not done this yet, no problem. Just click the link in the description to get going. And once you understand your COGS, or your cost of goods sold, you can now price your products. So let's talk about the pricing formula. I want to start out by saying that this is a guideline that I use because I understand, depending on the industry that you're in, your margins are going to look different, right? I worked in the food and beverage space. I've also worked in personal care, and I can tell you that calculating those margins and understand what it takes to finalize your pricing looks different. For instance, with the food and beverage industry, you're distributing those margins across other aspects of the business, meaning whether you're using a distributor, you're factoring in the profit margins that the large retailers are going to accept or may not accept. So these things are factoring in what is the lowest amount of margins that you're really willing to take on the business. So that's going to look different than, say, personal care or a crocheting business or a candle making business, all these different elements. So I want to start out by saying that this formula is a guideline to help you get started. So in terms of the formula itself, let's start with step 1. We've already talked about it. Knowing your COGS, knowing what the baseline is. So say we've done the calculation and your COGS is $5. So you're going to take the $5 and you're going to multiply it by 2. That is what we call your markup, right? And you want to at least get double that on your markup. So now we've gone from $5 to now $10. So $10 essentially is your wholesale price. This is the price that you're going to promote or advertise to your wholesalers, right? These are boutiques that you might be doing business with. These are large retailers. If you are currently not scaling or ready to scale at the moment, this is likely the price that you would charge your consumers, whether that be on Etsy, your online store. You could stop here. But if you are ready to scale, we need to now do a calculation to determine what we call SRP. SRP is suggested retail price. Again, if you're not going direct to consumer and we're talking in terms of wholesale, this is the price that the wholesaler or the boutique or the retailer will market to customers, right? Because now they have to get their markup. And so that's why we've multiplied at this point 2 times. But the suggested retail price at this point is now $20. So that's essentially the foundation or a good guideline to go off of when you are calculating your pricing. Again, depending on the industry that you're in, that might look different. And even if you're just selling on Etsy or online right now, this is a good framework to use to price your product so that you're set up for success, right? You want to make sure the framework that you're putting in place works no matter if you're a small business, a medium-sized business, or now you've scaled and you're doing, $100,000 POs. This is something to consider, and you want to set yourself up for success. And this is why it's so important to understand your COGS and now add the correct markup on your COGS to build on that pricing so that you are charging the right price. So let's talk about common mistakes and mindset. I see many entrepreneurs pricing their products based on what competitors are pricing their products. I also see many entrepreneurs afraid of pricing their products because they feel like they're pricing their products too high and that people won't purchase the products as a result. And I say all the time, if you're creating a really, really good product and you are selling the product on its benefits, whether that be, you sourcing ingredients from a particular place in the world, there's an ethical component to the business, right? You're using certified organic ingredients, all these different things. If you've done a really good job on marketing your product, then folks will buy them. You just have to do the work in terms of how you're communicating that, right? And so you don't want to sell yourself short already by starting too low in terms of your pricing. And your competitors are going to have their own formula in terms of how they've calculated their pricing. And it's not going to look the same, right? So we don't want to get into the habit of just going with what our competitors are pricing their products. You want to know your numbers. So I want to point that out because as entrepreneurs, I know we really are just like flying by the seat of our pants. We're really just not really understanding all these different components because we just want to create. We just want to get out and put cool, nice, innovative things into the world. And it can be scary. It can be intimidating figuring these things out. And so this is why it's so important to follow these guidelines and understand your numbers and understand that your products and the work that you do is valuable. And it really does take intentionality. It takes you taking a step back from the business sometimes and changing your mindset. And so this is so important. This is so important. You have to really change how you're looking at the work that you do because it is valuable and you don't want to work harder for less. Okay, so now let's go over a quick price checklist. Will your price make sense after you've now outsourced a lot of your work or now have switched your production to, say, a co-packer or a larger facility? Does it give you at least 50% margin after you factor in things like shipping and fees? And lastly, would you feel proud saying your pricing out loud to a buyer or a customer? If any of those answers are no, revisit your COGS. Again, it is the foundation of how your business operates, and it's very important. You have to build this foundation early on. If this video helped you, be sure to download the Maker to Market Pricing Calculator. I'll be sure to include a link in the bottom of the description to get you going. And if you want to see more videos like this, please don't forget to comment, subscribe, and like this video. And I'll see you next time.